Are you tired of not living up to your full potential in ITF Taekwondo? Have you ever wondered what sets the champions apart from the rest? The answer lies in the mental training. Join us as we explore how to unleash your inner potential through the power of the mind in ITF Taekwondo. Get ready to take your skills to the next level and achieve greatness.
So hey everyone, and welcome to episode 134 of Fight Chat Friday, where today we're going to be looking at the inner potential or the mental game of Taekwondo and the different kind of elements that, more often than not we talk about this and we talk about them from the point of view of holding you back rather than bringing you forward, but they play both sides of that game. So we're looking at some elements that, if you aren't on top of them, can actually get on top of you and hold back your performances. And so as we look through these, I'm 100% sure some of these are going to resonate with the people who are watching here today.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be definitely something that you can take from this, whether it's visualization, breathing, how to maybe frame your mindset. It will definitely help you, whether it's competition, grading, or even just coming to training with a better attitude.
Yeah, so let's just jump right in and we'll have a look at one of the first elements, and it's the idea of visualization. So first of all, when we talk about visualization, people are going to imagine something a little bit different from what we're really talking about. But the very first thing is to acknowledge that imagery is really powerful, and that our greatest achievements almost always start as a plan in our minds that we kind of put our mark on and we set that out as what we want to achieve. So the more real, the more detailed the mental image or the plan, the more you push your actions to shape the reality. So how do you do it? Start by finding a quiet place, sit down, lie down, close your eyes. Imagine yourself in a very specific Taekwondo scenario, executing a perfect reverse turning kick, performing a flawless pattern, countering a side kick with a backhand punch. Use all of your senses to create a very vivid mental image. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Who's the opponent? How does it smell even? And then you repeat that exercise regularly, ideally daily for a few minutes each time, and then it gradually moves to where that shapes the reality. And remember, it's a skill practice. It's what you're doing, although you're doing it mentally, is you're running through the same kind of repetition and practice. You're forming the same mental pathways in the brain as if you're actually performing the skill. So we're not trying to visualize the outcome, as in winning a match, winning a medal, standing on a podium, but really how the whole experience feels, like what the ideal performance feels like. So, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. So, like, what's the idea of this? Really, it's to put yourself in this situation time and time again. If we gave you the opportunity to repeat your last tournament and you actually got 3 trial runs before the real one, of course you perform better and you'd feel better about it. And that's the idea of visualization. But the hard part for this is actually doing it, because a lot of people with technology, your phone, etc., there's so many distractions these days. This is not an easy thing to do, to sit down and to just switch off and try to do this actively. And I think that's where the benefit really comes from, and it separates the people who really want it that little bit more. And it is something that will definitely help if you use it, because if with practice, of course, you're going to get better with it as well, and you'll understand it a little bit more how to do it better for when times move forward compared to your first time, obviously, just like everything. So yeah, the key for this is to set time away for it and try to get it done, and it should help you massively if you do it consistently.
So Richie, in number 2, and this one is so obvious but so important and so often done wrong. What can you tell us about setting goals?
Yeah, so a goal without a plan, that's just a wish, really, isn't it? So you want to make sure that your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So that creates the smart goal setting. So what you want to do there really is you want to write them down and place them somewhere visible, such as your training diary, your bedroom, whatever that may be. Break down the larger goals into smaller, more manageable ones and celebrate each milestone. That's very important. It will keep you going on the right track. And you want to hold yourself accountable by regularly reviewing your progress and adjusting your goals if necessary as well. So consider sharing your goals with a coach, training partner, or a friend, and that will help with the accountability side of things and also help to keep you motivated. So the goals are very important because that will allow you to have action towards where you want to go. And as well, when you're training and times get tough and maybe you're in a very hard round or whatever, feel tired, you're not really too motivated to go because your energy is low, and then you say, okay, here's the next goal that I'm working towards. And if you can break them down into step by step process, then it's going to be very, very important for you to make the next step along your journey, and always keep you motivated as well.
Yeah, 100%. So the next thing we want to talk about is breathing techniques. So why are those even relevant? And it's mostly that it's a useful tool in regulating our parasympathetic nervous system. So that's how we're reacting to the stressors in our environment. And, you know, we know that breathing itself is automatic. You don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to control your breathing in order to stay alive. But it does respond to the stressors, for example, in a fight, flight, or freeze kind of manner. So you've taken a hit in sparring, the match is going against you, or even before you even get into the ring for pattern, for sparring, whatever your event, nerves, pressure, they come and invade your space, and you know you might find that your breathing becomes shallow, or you're holding your breath. And what we can do is reverse that process. So by focusing on our breathing and practicing diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing, we can go the other way and start to control what our other responses are. So by controlling the breathing first, we can control our experience and feelings of nervousness and that fight or flight kind of response. So as we're thinking about that, one example is box breathing. And you know, the story goes, this comes from the US Navy SEALs, and yeah, they definitely have stress to deal with, but it's a very simple idea. And if you imagine it going around the sides of a box, you have in step one, you're going to inhale deeply and hold the breath in your belly. So you're trying to bring your breath down into your belly. Step two, you hold that breath in for 4 seconds. So it's breathe in for 4, hold for 4. You then exhale for 4 seconds, trying to completely empty your lungs, and you hold with that, you know, breath completely exhaled for 4 seconds. That's one style. Now you'll find as you look into this, there are lots of different styles. You know, another one being pursed lip breathing that you can focus in on, and it doesn't really matter which one that you're doing. The whole focus is that you are slowing down your breathing. You're very consciously breathing. You're giving your attention to that, and that's in order to calm your nerves before competition, refocus your mind during training or competition, or especially after that first round when you could be breathless after being winded. So what we're trying to do in that case is gain control of that, you know, out of control feeling of being out of breath, being, you know, mentally strained. And in that first few seconds when you take the break after the first round, to have a positive action that gets control of your breathing. So where else, Richie, might we use this?
Yeah, so like the breathing for me, I think is very important because, as you said, it's something that is natural for us that we don't think about, which means then it can get out of hand quite easily without us noticing. And for me, it's very important in many regards. Number one, it keeps you connected to your mind and your body when it's in check. If it gets out of hand, then that becomes a problem, and you start to kind of lose your awareness of the present moment, which is that's not ideal, especially
Yeah.
for competition. And what will actually happen is if you focus on the breathing, all you can do is stay present because all you can then focus on. So there's two benefits to that. It's a win-win in that regard. And also, for example, in patterns, if you have your breath really, really kind of taking control and getting out of hand, you're going to go faster. Your rhythm is going to be off and you're not going to be as calm. There's a more chance you're going to lose balance and make some errors, and even a chance of you messing up the pattern and doing an incorrect movement just because your body and your brain are not in sync. So it's something that we almost take for granted, I think, but it is very, very important.
For sure. So as we kind of move on from that one, we're going to look at positive self-talk. So Richie, do you want to lead us off on this one?
Yeah, so the idea of this is looking for moments where we kind of speak to ourselves in a negative way, and that can really hamper what we do. So, like, our reality is our perspective at times, and everything that we perceive is actually the reality in our brain. But what you need to do here, you see in the top left box, instead of engaging in this negative self-talk, you need to catch yourself in the moment, and then you need to ask yourself, where is the proof of this? So usually it's just you and your biases in your brain trying to keep you safe and trying to keep you protected. And usually what that happens then as a result is we speak a little bit negatively to keep ourselves safe and to talk ourselves out of situations. So you need to find out where the proof of is of the self-talk, and also like who told me this and why should I believe it. So that's another thing as well. Chances are nobody has ever said it. It's yourself, you know what I mean? So sometimes you're your own biggest problem. And the next one, would I say the same thing to someone I care about? And the next box in the center, is it really always or never? Or am I just frustrated? So a lot of times the emotions just take over and allow us to think a certain way. So you need to be aware of that as well. And it's very hard to do that in this situation. But if you're aware of it beforehand, you have a better chance of catching it. And next one, am I expecting myself to be perfect? You know, you don't want that. There's no such thing as a real perfect performance as such. So don't get stuck in that idea. You want to have that challenge mindset that we always speak about. Next one, how can I reframe this? This is an important one. So the idea of every cloud has a silver lining. How can you reframe this situation? How can you switch it around to make it a positive? Next one, what would my best friend say to me? So that's the idea of that one as well, having some accountability and some training partners that are positive. That's very, very important. And the final one that we have is, what have I learned from this and what's the positive to take from this? So there are some nice ways there, nice little slideshow of ways to reframe situations and to switch something from negative talk into more positive. Because the problem with this is you kind of go down a slippery slope pretty quickly, and you come out of your present moment again. That's what it's about when your brain isn't kind of tuned in. Competition, especially, or grading, or stressful environments, we let ourselves kind of run away with things in our brain. So you don't want that. You want to be focused, ready, and know what you do.
Yeah, I suppose, fundamentally we're our worst critics. We know what's going on inside our heads, and we can be our worst critics. And, we will say things to ourselves in our heads that you would never say out loud to another human being, because you just wouldn't be that cruel or that hurtful. So remember that there's no one who's being that hurtful for you, and it doesn't help anyone to be that hurtful. So give yourself a little break and use those tools, those tricks, or those questions to really challenge the way that you're thinking. So the last one that we have for today is just the idea of building confidence, because of course everybody understands the value of confidence, or the feel of what it is to be confident or to observe confidence. And as it says here, it's a superpower. Once you start to believe in yourself, the magic starts happening. But to build confidence, there's almost like a little bit of a formula to it. So, we need to purposefully work to build our confidence. And it starts with that idea of that challenge mindset. Take some risks down here in that bottom left. Take some risks. Set yourself a challenge and look at it as a challenge rather than a stumbling block or an obstacle. Help others is actually a huge thing in building your confidence as well, because as you help others to succeed, you kind of unleash that potential to succeed in yourself, and you see the potential for it, because you can see how much your help helps someone else to achieve and build their confidence, and allows you to let other people in. Things that we can do, we can keep a training log to track our progress and accomplishments, and a big part of that is emphasizing our strengths and successes. So we're very quick to let go of the things that we've done well and to focus on the things that we need to improve. But it's actually going to work much better if you do the opposite. So if you focus on what you do well and where you've been successful and the things that work for you, you can do more of those things and enjoy more success. So track, whether it's in a training log, whether it's in a video, however you do it, your training successes, your competition wins, your personal best, track all of those things. You build your self-image by doing that, by constantly looking back at yourself and giving yourself that body of evidence that says, hey, I'm able to do this. And reflecting on your strengths and your achievements actually helps to boost that confidence as well. That is towards the ultimate goal of, achieving a goal. But if you focus on process goals rather than outcome goals, that's really going to help. So a process goal is something like, I'm going to attack at least 3 times every minute while I spar. I'm going to use a shifting or a sliding side kick 5 times in the first round. And that's something that you can do. You can quantifiably do that rather than saying, I want to win the first 3 matches or I need to get to the semi-final. You don't know how many matches that's going to be, who your opponents are going to be. They're not under your control. So focus on process goals, things that you can directly impact. And then, in terms of moving towards achieving that goal, do all of the things we've already talked about. So use self-talk to reinforce your confidence and to beat away that negative, self-talk. Visualize your successful performances and what that will look and feel like. As we're looking back to those goals, have you set meaningful and achievable goals? Make sure you're doing that, because achieving those goals is going to build your confidence. So think about this as a kind of a cycle. So work through your imagery, visualize that success, set that goal, give yourself the evidence of it, beat away those self-doubts and the negative self-talk, and build your confidence. And then you create a virtuous cycle out of a vicious one.
Yeah, so like the summary for all this, I think really in terms of confidence is it's a stack of undeniable proof. And you can only get the proof from action. So that's the important thing as well. Like everyone says, believe in yourself. But like that doesn't come without the action, which is number one there, take risks. You need to put yourself in the situation to train against people that are better than you. Put yourselves in situations where you're a little bit nervous. Understand that and you grow from that. You know what I mean? If you want to grow anything, it has to be in that environment where it's just kind of a little bit out of its comfort zone. And that's what we need to do, and that will eventually build the confidence. And if you said, like you said earlier, Adrian, track that, whether it's your training diary, a log, whether it's a video of you with some highlights, it just gives you that little bit of backing as well of that proof. So how do you get that proof? You put yourself into situations continuously, continue to challenge, and repeat the cycle.
For sure. So hopefully something in that has been of use to you, and it's something that if you aren't using these techniques in your training on a regular basis, start to look at them, start to look them up, go back, have another look at this video, and if you have any questions, of course, reach out to us through the social media and we'll be happy to answer in the comments. We'll see you next Friday.
See you in the next one.